Good morning and welcome to Church at Home with Rachael for Friday the 10th of September. This month is going quickly too, isn't it? This morning I'd like to pick up on something I think I talked about on Wednesday about putting Jesus first and not worrying so much about ourselves and being present to things. On Wednesday I had this incredible opportunity to drive into Edmonton. It was my first trip solo into Edmonton, and thanks to my GPS I made it, even being warned that one of the street lights had a traffic cam that checked for red light runners and your speed. GPS, what did we do without it? But I got to go to Clericus at St. Augustine's with the Reverend Jonathan Crane, and I got to meet a few of my Clericus colleagues, and it was such a gift. And then that evening I got to go to the community center to represent the churches at the Wainwright Community Awareness Night. But it really got me thinking about the importance of as I said yesterday, about being us, and the recognition that we aren't doing this all by ourselves. One of the gifts of ministry that I've always found in the Anglican Church is the gift of clericus. Now, clericus is a weird word that if you type it into your computer will come up with a red squiggly line underneath it. And it's a gathering of clergy, generally from a deanery, from an area, a specified geographical area within a diocese, which is the group of Anglican, in our case, a group of Anglican churches in one particular place that are led by a bishop. So we are led by soon-to-be bishop, our Bishop-elect Steve London, in the Diocese of Edmonton, which covers a pretty good swath of sort of the middle of Alberta. So Edmonton over to Jasper, down, I think the most easterly point is Edgerton, goes up to Cold Lake. Lloydminster is not part of it. They're part of the Anglican Church, and Lloydminster is part of the Diocese of Saskatchewan, I believe. But so the diocese is a geographical area of churches that are overseen by an episcopal person, the bishop, and then archdeacons and regional deans, and each region area is broken down. So I belong to the Battle River Clericus or Deanery, and Jonathan Crane is our regional dean, has been since the spring, and he's doing a fine job at it. But what we do, ideally, if we didn't have COVID, we would be getting together more often. And the way that this diocese sort of works their deaneries is that rather than being sort of a geographical area all unto itself, it's more like the spokes of a wheel coming with the hub being in Edmonton. So it comes out sort of, I think Viking in that area are part of the Battle River Deanery. Vermilion is not, it's in its own. And then out to here. So I drove in to Edmonton for the 2-hour clericus meeting where we had hot dogs that we roasted on an open fire pit, and we had a great conversation just checking in with each other and seeing how we're all doing personally and in our parishes during COVID and just getting to know one another. And it was really, really good just to meet people face to face. Zoom is wonderful, but it's not the same. But there's something to be said about recognizing that we don't do this alone. That when we start telling stories or talking about the roof needing to be repaired or, what happens about the common cup, we're having a conversation about people not feel comfortable about taking the wine. We aren't doing that right now, but if we ever got back to that, what might we do? How might we adjust, adapt, pivot about that? Should we? Lots of really good, interesting, theologically deep questions that are not easily answered. And I ponder this question, if that's one of the biggest problems of COVID right now, is that, Zoom does not really lend itself to the opportunity to have deep theological, reflective conversation. Forget theological, like even in anything. When we're meeting on Zoom, not person to person, are we able to have those deeply reflective conversations, to think about who we are and what we're doing and what's our purpose? And does a meeting of a group of coworkers on Zoom really allow the in-depth ability to dive in? Now, agreed that sometimes this sort of technology makes us think when we speak, and because of Zoom cutting people off if they speak over each other, it helps us to be more polite, to wait until someone else has finished speaking before we jump in. But it takes away that spontaneity and that really incredibly synergy building ability of a group of people to bounce things off one another, to agree and to disagree and to learn from one another, and iron sharpening iron with each other. Being at Clericus, it was just a small group. I look forward to the day when all of us can meet together, the whole group, but just getting to see each other and hear how things are going for other people, and being able to celebrate being, with 6 feet apart, but in the same space outside. It was a real gift. And I wonder if that's something that we all need to work on, is as we hopefully get through this fourth wave and we move toward how will we be communities, whether it's church communities or service groups or book clubs or, just the ladies who lunch, whoever it works. How will we come back? Will we come back with a sense that we have to be Zoom polite, that we don't jump in and get excited and cut each other off? Or will we be so excited to be together once again that we throw all the Zoom style rules out the window and just have a free-for-all? There's something to be said for both. I think that maybe we need to learn the best of all these lessons. What are the COVID graces of Zoom and meetings and worshiping online and things like that, where we're distanced enough that we need to be polite and we need to listen and pay attention. But when we get back together, how do we bring those things in, but also bring back that spontaneity and that feeling of being present and the Holy Spirit working in our midst that allows us to throw out ideas and say, oh, no, I think you're so wrong, or absolutely, I agree with you completely, or, that's a good point. And if we also do this, there's so much that we are not able to do right now. And maybe that's okay. Maybe we need this time to just sort of reflect this way, so that when we get back together, we'll have so much to talk about, so much to reflect on. As I said on, I think it was Wednesday, I'm an introvert. So this whole, sticking to COVID home and not being out with people, that's kind of a tempting thing. But I also recognize that I need other people. We need one another. We need other people's wisdom, other people's experiences, other people's ability to say, hey, what's going on? How do we do this? And it's pretty powerful. I pray that as we exit or as we continue through this time and discover who we are and who we are becoming, that we might find that we need one another more, that we will gather again and we will celebrate being in proximity to one another, and we will gently but enthusiastically interrupt one another and challenge each other and learn from and teach one another, because we have so much that we have learned, and we need to share it with others and share it with ourselves. So as you go about your day, as you think about your weekend and what this weekend will hold for you, I ask that you would just listen and pay attention and maybe gather up all of those things, those experiences, those stories you haven't had a chance to tell, and tuck them away for that moment when you can sit around a fire and roast hot dogs and have conversation, or around a boardroom table and share your ideas and bounce them off others and see what incredible gifts can arise when we can get back together. Have a great day. Hopefully I'll see some of you at Wallace Park this evening for a walk to the Walk of Remembrance. And just be gentle with yourselves. Have a great weekend. And I'll see you on Sunday afternoon for our mini church, and on Monday morning for Church at Home with Rachael. God bless you, everybody, and thank you for spending some time with me today.